To wear a crown is to have it all, right? Ultimate power, wealth, prestige. But here's the thing. It also means painting a giant target on your back. For every king or queen who died peacefully in their sleep, there are others whose reigns ended in just unimaginable cruelty and betrayal. So today, we're going to peel back the velvet and gold to look at the bloody, brutal end of the crown.
That really hits you, doesn't it? The very same symbol of authority that makes thousands cheer for you can also ignite this burning envy and hatred in others. It's this fatal paradox. The more power you have, the bigger, and I mean bigger, of a target you become.
So that's the big question we're diving into. We're going to count down 10 of the absolute most savage royal deaths in all of history. It's a pretty grim reminder that no amount of power or glory can save you from a truly terrible fate. Let's get started with number 10.
Okay, our countdown begins in Byzantium with Emperor Justinian II. They called him the Wolf, and for good reason. He was a tyrant. He was actually overthrown once, had his nose sliced off, and then got sent into exile. But, and this is the crazy part, he didn't stay down.
I mean, you almost have to admire the guy's grit. Justinian literally clawed his way back to power, and you better believe he wanted some bloody vengeance. But all that revenge just made him more enemies. So in 711, his own soldiers finally had enough. They turned on him, cornered him, and hacked his body to pieces. A really brutal end for an emperor who had already cheated death once before.
So from ancient Byzantium, we're going to jump way forward into the 20th century to a man many saw as almost a god. Haile Selassie of Ethiopia, the king of kings. He was this huge symbol of African independence and resistance for decades. His public image was just massive. But his end? Well, it was silent and completely unseen.
After a military group with Marxist ideals took over, the once all-powerful emperor was just held captive in his own palace. The new government told everyone he died peacefully. But the truth? It was so much darker. He was secretly strangled in his room. It's just a chilling thought, isn't it? A man worshipped by millions, murdered all alone, his death a state secret.
All right, from a secret killing, we're now moving to a very, very public execution. Meet Maximilian I. He was an Austrian archduke who for a short time became the Emperor of Mexico, put there by the French. His European ambitions ran smack into a wall of Mexican republicanism.
So when his empire completely fell apart, Maximilian was captured, and he faced his end with this incredible calm. Word is, he actually forgave his executioners right before the shots rang out. It's just this stark reminder of what happens to a ruler whose power was never really his own, ending with a volley of bullets on a foreign hill.
Next up, we've got one of the most, undignified ends in the entire history of the Roman Empire. Emperor Caracalla was a known tyrant, for sure, but his death didn't happen in some grand battle or a palace coup. Nope, it happened in a moment of total vulnerability, which just goes to show you no bodyguard can protect you 24/7.
So picture this. Caracalla is traveling with his army. He steps away from his guards for, a private moment, and that's when a disgruntled soldier saw his chance, crept up and stabbed him. In that split second, all his absolute power meant nothing. He was caught alone, and betrayal was just a few feet away.
Coming in at number 6 is a real cautionary tale about moving too fast. Sultan Osman II of the Ottoman Empire. He was young, super ambitious, and he wanted to modernize his entire military. But his vision for reform, it was seen as a direct threat by the most powerful warriors in his kingdom.
See, the Janissaries, the Sultan's own elite, super powerful personal guard, were terrified of losing their special status. So what did? They deposed Osman, threw him in prison, and had him strangled. And as gruesome proof that the deed was done, one of his ears was cut off and presented to the new regime. He tried to build a stronger empire, and he was murdered for it by the very men who were supposed to protect him.
All right, we're entering our top 5 with an English hero, King Edmund Ironside. He earned that awesome nickname fighting like a lion against the Viking invasions of Canute the Great. His reign was short, but incredibly brave, ending not on the battlefield, but in the way that became, the stuff of dark, humiliating legend.
So after he agrees to split his kingdom with Canute, Edmund just dies, suddenly. And while we don't know the official cause, this really gruesome rumor started to spread that an assassin actually hid in the pit of his toilet and stabbed him from below. I mean, wow.
Whether it's true or not, the story itself shows that even a great warrior king can't escape the possibility of a treacherous and, let's face it, totally undignified end.
From the medieval world, we're now leaping right into our own time, to the year 2001. This story is so shocking because it's not ancient history, and it didn't happen as part of a coup, but during a family dinner. This is the tragic end of King Birendra of Nepal.
During a royal dinner, the crown prince, reportedly drunk and furious over a marriage dispute, just opened fire. He killed his own father, the king, his mother, and several other family members. It was just an abrupt, horrifying massacre. This tragedy is proof that even today, no crown is bulletproof. For our number 3 spot, we're traveling to the fall of the Inca Empire and its last ruler, Atahualpa. His story isn't just about a murder. It's about a deep, calculated betrayal, where a promise of freedom was really just another weapon. So after being captured by the Spanish, Atahualpa made this incredible offer. He would fill a room once with gold and twice with silver in exchange for his freedom. The Spanish agreed, took all the treasure, and then sentenced him to death anyway. He was strangled by his captors. Just a tragic, terrible end for the ruler of a vast empire, completely undone by greed and lies. Okay, before we get to our number 1 spot, check out this fascinating paradox from the Ottoman Empire. We already talked about Osman II, the reformer. Well, decades later, you get Sultan Ibrahim the Mad, who was a cruel tyrant. So one was progressive, one was despotic. And guess what? Both were ultimately overthrown and strangled by their own people. It's a stark lesson that, in the end, your good intentions might not matter as much as your grip on power.
And those are the terrifying last words said to be from that same Sultan Ibrahim. His story, which we'll call number 2 on our list, is a grim bookend to this Ottoman paradox, and it just shows you the raw terror of a tyrant finally facing his own end.
And now for the number 1 most brutal royal death in history. This one is in a class all its own, not just because of the violence of the death itself, but for the prolonged, soul-crushing humiliation that came before it. This is the fate of the Roman Emperor Valerian.
Valerian's end was just this slow-motion train wreck. First, he was captured in battle, which for a Roman emperor was an unheard-of disgrace. Then he was forced into servitude. But the ultimate degradation, according to ancient writers, was being used as a human footstool for the Persian king to get on his horse. Can you imagine an emperor brought that low? He died a prisoner, his fate becoming the symbol of total, absolute defeat.
So, what do we take away from this whole catalog of cruelty? Well, whether it was by strangulation, stabbing, or a firing squad, the end was often the same. Death came from betrayal, by soldiers, by family, by foreign powers. And again we see this recurring theme, ultimate power being met with ultimate humiliation. In the end, these stories are a really stark reminder of one simple truth. The higher the throne, the harder the fall. History's final judgment on kings and emperors isn't always written in big stone monuments. Sometimes it's written in blood.